In this video, I'm going to talk about the systems that 8 and 9 figure brands use to actually scale their companies. And some of this you're probably doing, some of it you're probably not doing. And the main reason that I think this is important is because people look at scaling as kind of like a guesswork game where they think if they produce more creative, then that's going to help them find winners and ultimately they're going to be able to scale. But it's so much more complicated than that. And I think people know that, they just don't know where to start with the right systems. And so I'll break down some of the systems that you can build and use in your own company, no matter what size you are, that are going to help you systemize and really build out an actual process for this and realize that it's kind of just a numbers game. It's really driven by volume, but also understanding what metrics you need to track and what systems you need in place to actually make sure you can do that. So there's really 3 components to this. If you don't know me, my name is Will. I've been in e-commerce space for several years now. I've spent millions and millions on paid media. I've helped scale multiple brands, mostly in the CPG space. I've also been agency side as well. So I have a decent understanding of what it takes to scale brands to sizable levels. And I'm just sharing my learnings and what I think about when it comes to scaling e-commerce brands. So let's get into each of the 3 components. First one I'm going to hit on here is your offer. And this is one of the more underutilized areas. Everyone always thinks about creative first, and creative is extremely important. You need volume, you need creative diversity, but not as many people are focused on offer testing. And if they are, they're not really putting systems in place to track it. And so your offer can literally make or break your business. I'm sure a lot of you who are watching this have read Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers. And that book kind of opened the floodgates for people that didn't fully understand just the gravity and the weight that offers actually have when it comes to making or breaking your business. If you make a really great offer, you can have bad marketing, you can have a bad product, and you can still do pretty well. Of course, you need to fix those things on the back end, but if your offer is broken, then nothing else can save it. No amount of good ads can save it. No doubt in landing page, nothing can really save it. What a lot of e-com brands don't consider is how much they need to test their offer. They think that I'm just going to have a really good product, I'll have really good creative, and people will buy my product. If your offer does not stand out, if it's not enticing, if it's not valuable, then you're going to have a really tough time scaling and you're going to run into a lot of trouble. So one of the areas you need to focus on is your offer testing. And to do this, I recommend building an offer tracking dashboard. This is one I built in Lovable. Of course, you can build it in Sheets or whatever works for you, but it's really simple. So we'll start here, and this is your offer tracker, right? And this is going to track every offer that we've run. And this is going to track every offer that you've ever run, right? And it's going to segment by the name, the type, the launch date, what products was it, the primary angle, the audience, what channels did you run it on, how much did you spend, what was the CTR, the CVR, what was your CAC, your revenue, and your ROI. I've seen brands just really not track this at all. Like they kind of just throw stuff up and see what works. And eventually they might find one that works and then they kind of just run with it. But this allows you to go back at any time and see exactly what you tested and how it performed. So over here, this is the actual offer. So I did a couple different options. We have a subscription offer, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, which is obviously a promotional offer, a BOGO deal, a sample pack, and a new SKU launch. So these will give you ideas for some of the different types of offers you can do. And of course, you can get more creative. But this is kind of how I built it out. And so I also have the type, obviously subscription, discount, a BOGO, free shipping, new product. You can have your launch dates. What products was it for? Primary angle. Is it top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel? What channels was it run on? Was it run on Meta, Google, email, SMS? How much did you spend? So certain offers you might spend more, especially if you're scaling them. What does your front end metrics look like? So what was the CTR on the ad creatives? What was the conversion rate on the actual offer? What was your CAC? How much revenue did it drive? And then this, obviously your revenue divided by your spend will give you your ROI. So you can see which offers actually perform better, which ones performed not as well. And then finally, you can see the status. Has it been scaled? Has it been validated? Are you currently testing it? Have you paused it? And so a good example here would be this top one, right? This was the subscription one. So this one got a 70% ROI, which at first look, you might say, it's not that great. However, taking into consideration it is subscription, you have to understand that this is an LTV play. You're recouping that investment on the back end, especially if you have good retention. You would want to work out what your unit economics are and figure out what ROI can I run at on the front end to actually maintain this. If I know that I have a 6-month LTV on this subscription, that's going to recoup over time and I can run at a unprofitable ROI, essentially. You need to dig deeper into your numbers here, but something worth considering when you're running a subscription offer. For other stuff like this, where it's more straightforward, maybe it's a one-time order or something like a BOGO, you're going to know if it's over a certain ROI, it's been validated. If it's under, it's not. And then you can also track what's being currently tested, ones that didn't work. For example, this one that was a free plus shipping for sample packs, not a great ROI, didn't really make sense, so we paused it. And so what you're going to want to do from all this is create a dashboard. And so you can see your number of offers tested, the average ROI, the number of offers that have been validated, the total revenue. I really like this here too, which is your ROI by offer. So you can see which one is the best ROI, which one is more negative, by channel. So you can see which channels you're running more heavily on these offers. And then it's going to have your top 5 offers by ROI down here. So this is a pretty simple and straightforward tracker, but I recommend having something like this either, again, in Lovable or Sheets, just somewhere to actually track and have all of your data in one place when it comes to your offers, so you know exactly what works and you're not just throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. The next component you need to track is obviously your creative. And so you've probably seen some people build out creative trackers like this. I got this from, I think, London Spilker on Twitter. I think he's the media buyer at Hexclad, I want to say. I got this from him like a couple years ago, and I really like the way he built it out. So this is what a creative launch calendar looks like. And it can be more simple than this. It can be more intricate than this. It's really up to you. But the way that I've built it out is that you have your launch date, and then you have a drop down of the asset type. So video, image, or GIF. You have a link to the creative or the brief ticket or wherever you want to host it. Has it been launched? Yes or no? Is it active? Yes or no? How many versions are there? What's the budget? Did we hit the budget? What's the landing page? Is this a new concept or an iteration? And then from here, you can be as simple as saying, was it a winner? Yes or no? Or you can do it by individual metrics. So I have it by CPA, ROAS, CTR, CPC, CVR, and then the final grade, is it a winner, average, or poor? And these are just kind of showing me, is it below average, average, above, all that kind of stuff. So that's how I kind of built this out. But again, you can be more simple. You could just do a couple of these things and then just say, is it a winner? Yes or no? But it is really important to have a tracker like this, because if you don't, you're really flying blind. Like, to be completely honest, even if you find winners, you're not going to know how to trace back why those were winners. And you can't possibly expect to scale if you're not tracking this kind of stuff. So that's why this is extremely important, because you need data at the end of the day. And this is kind of your warehouse to host all of this data. And so highly recommend having some sort of tracking system like this. And then again, you can build out the same dashboard that I had over here. You can build that out in here with Sheets or Lovable or however you want to do it. So yeah, highly recommend having this as well. If you don't have a creative tracking system, make sure you build one. If you can't build one yourself, hire a VA, talk to someone who's built one before. If you need help, of course, you can comment and I can help you build something like this or send you a template, but you need to have this. Like, if you want to scale, you do need to have this. So same thing as offers, you need to be able to test and to actually track it. The third thing you want is obviously somewhere to track your entire media performance in general. So it's kind of combining your creative and your offer testing into one platform to where you can actually track the performance of your media. A lot of people use Triple Whale, Northbeam, stuff like this. And those are great for attribution, and they do have some holistic KPI views and all that kind of stuff. But this is a platform that I built with my co-founder, and really what it's supposed to be is a holistic view on your media performance. So it takes all the channels that you advertise on, puts it all into one platform. And at any given time, you can see not just how you're performing, but how are you pacing? So what is your sales target for the month? How are you pacing against that? What is your budget for the month, and how are you pacing against that? This is a really useful piece for media buyers and marketing managers to see at any given time, we're pacing for this on sales, we're pacing for this on spend, and they can report up to whoever wants to know. You can also see your spend target. How much do we need to be spending today to hit our goal? What is our monthly pacing? All that kind of stuff. In addition, when you set your budget, you can compare to your budget here. So this blue line is your active spend. As you can see, we have Meta and TikTok connected, and it's showing us our spend on a daily basis on these platforms. And we can also see how we're pacing towards our budget. So our budget is $554K for the month. We're just on target with budget right here, and we can always see if it fluctuates above or below our budget target. And again, you can also compare to different platforms. Meta, we're spending a little bit over. Maybe TikTok is a little bit less. So Really useful there. Category breakdown. You can compare your budget by platform, how much you've spent versus your budget, all that kind of stuff. Down here, we have KPIs. So you can see a blended ROAS view, your AOV. We have some store metrics in here, your new customer count, all that kind of stuff. And some more tabs here that are just really important. So one more thing with media buyers is I think really good media buyers also have a really good understanding of the financials of the business. And what's really important is keeping a budget, is tracking your budgets to your actuals and understanding how much do we over or underspend any given month and being able to reallocate that budget. And so having a system like this, you can build it in Sheets. We just built this to make it even more automated because I hate Google Sheets. I'm not good at Excel, which is why I built this. But you can track everything in one platform, which is really nice. The other thing too is planning promotions. That is a whole thing. Everyone has a different way to do it. Again, usually it's in Excel or like PowerPoint, and it's really just a sporadic process. We built this out to actually plan promotions by month, and you can see at any given time, what's the next promotion coming up? What's the funnel stage? What's the start and end date? What is the budget allocated? All that kind of stuff. And we have a timeline view here as well, and an upcoming view here too to see what the next one is. And so we also have an allocation by funnel stage and by promotion type, but having one area to plan your promotions is also extremely important. So I'm not going to ramble on for the remainder of this video, but I want the big takeaway to be you need to be planning and tracking everything constantly. And you need systems to do this. So if you don't have a way to track your creatives, if you don't have a way to track your offers, if you don't have a way to track your finances and your budget, you cannot expect to scale because things will break. And if things break, you don't know where to fix them. This will tell you exactly where to fix them and what needs to be fixed. So highly important for a media buyer, anyone just managing budgets and media spend to be able to track everything. If you want to try out our tool, we have a 7-day free trial. Just comment and I'll send you the link. It's extremely useful. I'm a media buyer myself. This was built out of my own need. So I know that, a lot of the problems that media buyers have can be solved through just automating and making things easier to track. So those are the 3 things I would do if I wanted to scale to 8 and 9 figures. And if you need any help building out these systems or just want to get pointed in the right direction, comment on this video. I reply to all the comments and I can definitely help you out. Thank you.